All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. So we're just going to do a simple 16-channel animation. I'm going to say use it for a full second. None of this stuff matters for the purposes of this demo here today. And then, as I was saying, but you couldn't see, I'm going to go up here to Tools and click on Channel Configuration. And then we're going to do a lot of that copy and pasting that I've already done once. We're going to do it again and get some things set up. Now, in a normal situation, you're going to be doing this anyway because you need to define the channels within your Light-O-Rama sequence so you know what you're going to have to program. But the other reason we're setting this up now is because we're actually going to use these names that we're setting up to program our visualizer. So I'm going to go through and we're just going to do 4 trees. We're going to do a red, green, blue, and white, since that seems to be the very basics of things. And then as soon as we set all of the, learn how to spell the word, that will come in very handy. We will do. Now, I'm going to set the colors. Now, since you can't see my keys, what buttons I'm hitting, I am clicking the mouse on this one. I am pushing red with the mouse, and then I'm hitting enter. One less mouse click to do. Little easier to navigate through. Mouse, enter. I have found that saves me a little bit extra time whenever setting things up. That way you're not having to go, let's see, make sure I get the right blue here. Click, and then click, and then click, and, it's a little bit quicker. So that's kind of why I do it. So that's mouse, enter on the buttons. Mouse, enter, mouse, enter, mouse, enter. A little bit quicker to set up. So we've got a red, green, blue, white on all 16 channels of our tree. Just for giggles, let's see. Hey, look, it's all there. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to save it to 16 channel demo. We have now set up the channels. We have configured the channels, and we have defined the colors. Let's go look at the visualizer. The big, bad, scary visualizer. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new visualizer. And for the purposes of the demo here today, we're just going to use a blank background, and I'm going to give it the good old 640 by 480 size because we don't need anything other than that. And we're done here for this screen. And now we've got to give it a name. So we're going to call it 16 channel demo. And save. So we now have a 16 channel demo, and it is blank. What do we do? Well, on this particular one, I said we were going to do trees, correct? So we are just going to draw out, not necessarily 16 trees, but we're just going to draw, right now I'm just going to draw one. And we're going to draw that tree out and hit enter. And I'm just going to call this tree 1 and press OK. Now, I'm going to save a little bit of time and come over here and do a, you cannot do a right click. You have to do a keyboard copy and a keyboard paste, Control V and Control C. And I'm just going to make 4 of these trees really quick. Now I'm going to come back and we're going to rename them momentarily. It is worth noting that this name field up here can be the same. You don't necessarily have to have the names different. Obviously, it helps when you're trying to find something in a long list of items, but you don't necessarily have to have them different. And how about we move trees 2 and tree 4, because apparently I named them out of order, and thus I messed up the little line. So now kind of the fun part. Let's go in and we're going to copy this. I'm going to paste, and I'm going to reset up a copy, and I'm going to do tree 1 red, tree 1 red, green, blue, because I accidentally clicked on, nope. Just because you click on number 3 doesn't mean it's going to go to number 3. Blue and white. Now, real quick, while I'm doing this, you will notice that the names I'm using in the sequence editor are the exact same that I'm using in the visualizer. And that's going to be very important here in a minute, because this is the key to keeping everything in sync as we go through today. So we're going to call this tree 2, copy that, red, green, blue, white. And on tree number 4, let's do something a little different just to prove something. Okay, so here in a minute, let's remember to look at tree number 4 first. Because, and let's resave that. Because remember, we've got tree 1, 2, 3, 4, red, green, blue, white. But on tree number 4, we went in a different order. Now let's do some intensity adjustments so we can actually see the trees. They're in all white. So right now, the trees are configured with names, but we don't have any of the unit or the circuit ID. So if we look over here for tree 1 red, we have regular unit 1, excuse me, circuit 1. But we don't have any of that over here. There are 2 ways to do it. We could go through and go, okay, this is a Light-O-Rama network, and it's unit 1, circuit 1. Well, that works great for 1, but everything else you're going to have to go through in the drop downs. That's going to be time consuming. Here it is, the moment you have all been waiting for. We're going to go to Edit, and this is in the visualizer. Edit, Load Reference. Now, it says here, it helps you assign channels to fixtures. So let's click on the little dot, dot, dot. And let's go into sequences and select our 16-channel demo sequence that we had done a little bit earlier. Let me move some things on my screen. There we go. And now it's confirming, and we say load. It now says that our reference file has been loaded, and you can load another if you want. But I'm going to say done, and then I'm going to say done. Would you like to update the channels? Yes, you would. This screen is very important. There are 2 ways you can link your data from the sequence editor into the visualizer. This method down here will match on the device key. That meaning the device, the network, the unit, and the circuit. That means we need to have actually programmed them. Whenever we did tree 1, we needed to have said, yes, I want to program this as Light-O-Rama network, unit ID number 1, circuit 1. Unit ID number 1, circuit 2, number 3, number 4, unit number 1, 5, 6, 7, 8. We would have to program all that. But you can also go by the name, and the name is the option that I'm going to choose. And that's why it was very important that we have the same name. So I'm going to say okay. And as soon as I did that, you noticed all 4 trees changed colors. All 4 trees have red, green, blue, and white. And let's go look at tree number 4 first. You will notice that even though we went out of order in the channel assignment or the name assignment, it actually picked up the correct ones. So we have tree 1 red, we have tree 1 green, we have tree 1 blue, we have tree 1 white, etc. So all of those are there, all of those are ready to go, and we don't have to worry about anything. I just now realized those got moved over to the other monitor, and that's not where they belong. So just like that, we are done. That's it. We're done. So let's look at things in action. So I'm going to take this into simulation mode, and we'll put that on this side of the screen. We'll go over here, and I will expand this out a little bit. And let me, okay. So let's ramps as fades, shrink things up a little bit so I can see them here. Delete that. And let's do a quick chase, 4 seconds in length. If you have never run from the sequence editor to the visualizer, make sure control visualizer is checked or else nothing is going to happen. Now, hit play. We have just kept everything in sync. All done, all ready to go. Now, where that's going to come in handy is in future years. Say you get rid of trees 1, 2, 3, and 4. And say you're turning them into stars. So let's do, you know what? Much easier to see on the white background, or at least on the gray. So let's do a quick little, I just draw things out for the purposes of this demo. And we're going to assign it to a new fixture for now. And I'm going to call this star 1 red, star 1 blue, and star 1 white. And I'm going to say OK. And we'll just know that it's new fixture 1. So let's go back over here to our sequence editor. And we talked about changing things. So let's take tree 1 red and turn that into star 1 red. Which ones did I do over here? Red, blue, and white. So we're going to take this one, rename it, and rename that. Now, I need to close this for a moment and reopen it. The reason being, whenever you close and reopen the visualizer, your references are gone. It wipes them out. That reference file is no longer loaded. So you'll notice whenever I create something here, do we want to assign it to a fixture? So it's pulling that up, tree 1, 2, 3, 4. That's from the reference file, but that reference file is also what we used to tie everything together. So let's go in and let's do an edit. Let's look at new fixture 1 real quick. New fixture 1, nothing is assigned. Tree 1, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are assigned. So now let's go through and let's reload the reference file. 16 channel demo. We're going to say load. Our reference file has been loaded, and we're going to say done. Would you like to update the channels? Yes. And we're going to match them on name. There we go. So now, star 1, red, green, blue, and white did not take Y. I didn't save the sequence editor. So, rule of thumb, save early, save often. Go back and do that again. Mr. Visualizer, would you please start? Thank you. Reload that, and we'll go back to edit. Load reference file, 16 channel demo. Open that. Going to say load, okay, and done. Yes, and okay. So you'll notice the only one that it picked up was star 1 white. And that probably means I had an extra space somewhere and I didn't realize it in the name. No spaces at the end of star 1 red. No spaces. Notice star 1 has no space in between it there. You've got to match them absolutely the same. You can't have any spacing different or anything like that. So let's reload the reference. Load, okay, done, yes, name, boom, there we go. Now, you'll notice star 1, red, blue, and white is in there. The channels are in there. Now, they're still here because they're still assigned to this item. It's not going to go back and unassign the item. So if we wanted to just get rid of this tree completely because it's not in our display this year, we can just delete it and it's gone. So we can say yes, delete the fixture, and now it's gone. We can hit save, and now let's go ahead and play. And it will still play what we have put into it because it is just playing what we have on the channels defined in the visualizer or in the sequence editor to what is actually set up inside of the visualizer. So it's going to play. You'll notice that tree 1 green, I could leave that on the whole time and it never shows up because it's not defined anywhere here in the sequence editor. That is pretty much it. That's how you keep the two together. That's how you quickly and easily, and while I'm finishing out my sentences, go ahead here, and if you have any questions, let's go ahead and you can start asking them or put them in the chat, either direction or either way. So that is how you keep things together, the same, synced up, whole 9 yards. You'll notice one other thing that I did that I want to point out. When I got rid of tree number 1 for the next version of it, I didn't delete channels 1, 2, 3, and 4, or the what was tree 1, 2, 3, 4, or red, green, blue, white on tree 1. I didn't delete those, and the reason is there is some internal code that, from a tracking standpoint, could present issues to you in following years. So if you've decided, you know what, tree 1 green, I don't need to use that channel this year, I would personally just come in and void it out. That way, you know, if you see that channel there and you see the color black inside of the particular display, I've programmed a channel that's not in use. And since you haven't named any of your props, fixtures, etc. inside the visualizer, since none of those are named void, here in this screen here, it's not going to carry over into the visualizer, and it's not going to foul things up, etc.